This equation looks a little challenging to graph, and it is. It's probably the most challenging one on this homework. But I know that I can just start off with the graph of y equals natural log of x and move that around, do some transformations to it, and then I'll get the graph. So it's not going to be that bad. I remember y equals natural log of x has a vertical asymptote at x equals 0 because you can't raise e to any power and get 0. And then when x is 0, I know that y has to be 1 because e to the 1 is 0. And then when you go out to x equals e, you get y equals 1 because e to the 1 equals e. And remember, e is around 2.7, 2.72. But you don't have to write the decimal approximation here. You can just write e instead of 2.7. The first thing I'll do is shift this thing to the right by 2. So that vertical asymptote goes to x equals 2. And then my x-intercept goes to x equals 3. And then when y equals 1, now instead of being at x equals e, that's going to be at x equals e plus 2. And if you want, you could add 2.72 plus 2 and write it as 4.72. Or you can just write it as e plus 2. Either way is fine. Then we've got a vertical stretch by a factor of 5. And then we'll reflect over the x-axis. And then we'll have one last thing to do after that. But this vertical stretch, all it's going to do is take that third point that we have, that third x value at e plus 2, and instead of having a y of 1, it will give us a y value of 5. But at x equals 3, y should still be 0, because when you multiply 0 by 5, you still get 0. So here is our stretched out version of the graph. Next, I'm going to handle the negative sign out in front of the 5. So reflect that graph over the x-axis. Keeps the vertical asymptote still at x equals 2. But where the y value was negative before, now the y value will be positive. So instead of going down towards negative infinity, right there at the asymptote, the graph is going to shoot up to positive infinity. And then as you go to the right from there, when you get to x equals 3, it will hit 0 still. And as you move to the right from 3, you'll get negative y values. And it will just keep going down from there. Now, I'm taking a lot of time to write this all out in steps. And as the person who is supposed to verify how much you understand what you're doing when you graph this, it's really nice for me to see if you've written out all these steps. I can be for sure that you know exactly what you're doing, or you knew almost exactly what you were doing, but you messed up at this one little point. It is possible for you to just graph this thing by hand in one step if you can sort of think about what will happen to the graph all at once. But that's challenging, and if you mess up a little bit, then there's no way for me to know for sure what part of it you're not getting and what part you are getting. So if you've got time, just go ahead and write out the different steps. And I should also point out, in the directions it says label 3 points and any asymptotes. Right now I really only have 2 points. I have a point at x equals 3 and a point at x equals e plus 2. And, oh, I just noticed. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I lost track of what we were doing here. We have to shift up 8. So when x is 3, y has to go up to 8 because it was at 0. And then at x equals e plus 2, y, instead of being -5, will now be 3. And we'll still have an x-intercept somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is. But on this one, don't worry about the third point. You could go out to e squared plus 2 and get the y value there, but don't worry about it.